Robert Griffin III's decision to demand that the Cleveland Browns give Shedeur Sanders the starting position right away, rather than merely endorsing him, split the internet in an instant. It wasn't a subtle call. It wasn't courteous. It was meant to shake up a front office that has been sluggishly dealing with a quarterback identity crisis. It was loud and blunt. Dillon Gabriel? Not the man. Flacco Joe? Too traditional. RG3 claims that the solution is directly in front of them. Additionally, it will get worse the longer they ignore it. Shedeur Sanders' character isn't the only factor at play here. It has to do with his necessity.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
RG3 is pleading for survival, not just skill. Due to their leadership's lack of commitment and strange allegiance to quarterbacks who either peaked 5 years ago or haven't yet earned a spot in the locker room, the Browns have fallen into a lifeless mess. The team appears uninspired rather than injured. Additionally, Griffin claims that Sanders is the only player on that depth chart who infuses a roster that has obviously given up on the plan with both fire and faith. Yes, Flacco brings experience, but what does that mean when the team appears to have aged along with him? Although Gabriel has potential, the locker room needs more than just a warm body under center. Shedeur sits through all of this. His leadership is exactly what this team lacks, and his readiness and potential are clear. But the management of the Browns? They're still too preoccupied with draft hierarchy and optics to acknowledge that the man they keep benching is the answer. RG3's annoyance is multifaceted. It's not just about evaluating talent. It's also about Cleveland's apparent sensitivity to risk, despite the fact that every game they lose carries some element of risk. They waste time acting as though the season isn't slipping every week that Sanders doesn't start. The decision-making process is performative, being cautious despite the fact that this quarterback room hasn't felt secure or operational in weeks. And time passes while the front office engages in political scheming. The group appears uninteresting. The coaching staff appears to be in a panic. The Browns need a spark, as everyone else was thinking. And RG3 just confirmed it. Fans are reading between the lines. Not a stand-in. It's not a legacy name. Not another, maybe next season's scenario. Shedeur Sanders is urgently needed. Because the quarterback debate is no longer the only one at stake. Turning the lights back on before the entire season goes dark is the goal here. Turning the lights back on before the whole season goes dark. Robert Griffin III didn't hesitate. He didn't tiptoe, didn't hedge, didn't try to play it safe. He went all in, calling out the Cleveland Browns and demanding, in no uncertain terms, that Shedeur Sanders start the next game. Not eventually. Not in a few weeks. Not when the time is right. Now. And that single demand cracked open the dam. Suddenly, the debate wasn't just about who should start at quarterback. It became a full-blown indictment of how the Browns are handling their season, their locker room, and their future. RG3's stance wasn't just strong, it was urgent, desperate. Because when you watch a team spiral week after week, and the guy who might actually fix it is standing on the sideline in a ball cap doing nothing, you don't stay quiet. You call it out. RG3 did just that. And the NFL world hasn't stopped talking about it since. Because here's the truth, this isn't just a QB controversy. It's a spotlight on everything wrong with Cleveland's decision-making. It's the politics, the pride, the stubborn refusal to admit when something isn't working. It's a team stuck between protecting reputations and protecting wins, and choosing the wrong side. The quarterback room is in disarray. Dillon Gabriel has yet to inspire confidence. Joe Flacco is a respected name, but at this point in his career, he's not elevating anyone. And then you have Shedeur Sanders. A rookie, yes, but one with undeniable energy, leadership, and presence. And the Browns? They're choosing to ignore all of it. That's what RG3 couldn't accept. That's what pushed him to speak out, not just as a former quarterback, but as someone who understands what it takes to lead a team out of dysfunction. He knows when a player is more than just talent. He knows what it looks like when a guy has the thing, the confidence, the command, the spark. And he sees it in Shedeur. But instead of building around that, Cleveland is burying it. Instead of giving him a shot, they're playing it safe. And in the NFL, safe doesn't win games. Safe doesn't build culture. Safe doesn't inspire a team that already looks emotionally checked out. That's the part that burns the most. This isn't just about talent, it's about timing. And right now, every game Shedeur doesn't start is a game this team risks falling further into chaos. Because the cracks are already showing. The offense is stagnant. The belief is gone. And the fans? They're starting to tune out. But let's be clear, this isn't about hype. It's about necessity. RG3 didn't call for Shedeur's start because it would be fun, or because it's the flashy choice. He did it because it's the obvious choice. Because it's the only move that might actually jolt this team back to life. Because it's painfully clear that whatever Cleveland is doing right now is not working. And when something isn't working, you don't double down. You pivot. That's what Cleveland refuses to do. Instead, they're caught up in draft politics and internal pride, still pretending that starting a rookie quarterback would be some kind of risk. But the real risk is doing nothing. The real gamble is sticking with quarterbacks who aren't igniting anything, while the season quietly dies. And no, Shedeur isn't perfect. He's young. He'll make mistakes. But he brings something the Browns desperately lack: life. He inspires teammates. He plays with urgency. He has the kind of on-field energy that transforms a group, not just a play. That's not opinion. That's been said by teammates, seen in practices, noted by analysts, and now shouted from the rooftops by RG3. But still, silence from the team. Or worse, carefully worded deflections that make it sound like they're developing him properly, or not rushing the process. Let's be honest, that's code. Code for fear. Code for indecision. Code for a team that would rather go down clinging to their original plan than admit it's time for a different one. And that mindset? It's poison. Because while Cleveland hesitates, the window closes. The team loses belief. The fanbase loses interest. And the opportunity to build something real around a young quarterback with actual leadership traits slips further away. That's what RG3 was trying to shake them out of. Not just with analysis, but with passion. With fire. Because someone had to say it plainly. Waiting for the perfect moment is how you miss it altogether. At this point, it's not about whether Shedeur will start, it's when. Because the path they're on now, it's unsustainable. The losses will mount. The locker room will fracture. The fans will demand change. And eventually, Cleveland will make the switch, not because they want to, but because they have to. But when that happens, it won't be brave. It'll be reactive. And they'll have wasted time they'll never get back. RG3 is simply asking, why wait? Why wait until the damage is irreversible? Why wait until you've lost another 3 games and the playoff conversation is long gone? Why wait to put the ball in the hands of someone who actually wants to lead? Because say what you want about Shedeur, but the guy wants it. He wants the pressure. He wants the responsibility. He wants to be the guy. And for a team with no identity, that kind of hunger isn't something you can afford to keep on ice. This is about more than who throws the best spiral. It's about who resets the tone, who makes the huddle believe, who makes the offense look like it's actually trying to win instead of just trying to survive. Shedeur Sanders brings that. And every week Cleveland waits to acknowledge it, they fall deeper into a hole they may not be able to climb out of. It's not complicated. The Browns are struggling. The quarterback situation is a mess. The team is emotionally flat. And there's a player on the roster with the potential to fix all 3. But they're choosing pride over performance, politics over purpose, safe over spark. And in a league this competitive, those choices have consequences. Not just in the standings, but in the culture of the locker room. The longer this goes on, the more damage gets done. And the harder it becomes to recover, even if Shedeur does eventually start. That's the cost of inaction, the price of pride. And RG3 wasn't about to sit back and watch it happen in silence. He demanded change. He demanded urgency. He demanded that the Browns do the one thing they seem most afraid of: believe in the obvious answer. Start Shedeur Sanders. Stop pretending. Stop hedging. Stop losing. Because the clock's ticking, and Cleveland doesn't have the luxury of wasting time anymore. What do you think? Is RG3 putting too much pressure on the rookie? Or is he the only one brave enough to say what needs to be said? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the wild world of football drama and sports chaos, hit that subscribe button. You already know, we're just getting warmed up. The conversation hasn't cooled down, it's gotten louder. Because when Robert Griffin III publicly demands Shedeur Sanders start the next game for the Cleveland Browns, you don't just move on. You don't forget. You can't. It lingers. It sticks. It snowballs into something bigger. And right now, it's not just fans echoing RG3's call. Analysts are weighing in. Former players are backing him up. Even current players, though they won't say it on the record, are giving that look. You know the one. The look that says, he's right, but I'm not trying to get fined. The Browns situation has gone from concerning to downright embarrassing. A team with a solid defense, a handful of dangerous weapons on offense, and a fan base that shows up week after week, still trapped in a quarterback merry-go-round, still allergic to momentum. And meanwhile, the only one who seems to have the guts to say what's actually going on is a guy who hasn't taken a snap in years. That's what makes RG3's words hit so hard. He's not trying to stir drama for attention. He's not trying to boost his media career. He's pointing at a burning building and asking why no one's grabbing the hose. Because this isn't subtle anymore. The Browns aren't 1 or 2 plays away. They're running on fumes. Every week they roll out the same tired quarterback plan, the same underwhelming playbook, and the same excuse-heavy press conference after yet another lifeless loss. And sitting just one roster spot away is a quarterback who might not be perfect, but might be exactly what they need. So why the hesitation? Why the stonewalling? According to RG3, it's not just about football. It's about ego. He didn't just call out the coaching staff. He went straight for the heart of it. Management. The front office. The decision-makers who are more concerned with draft politics than actual performance. The ones who look at Shedeur and see a threat to their own credibility instead of a solution to their team's problems. Because if you start Shedeur and he succeeds, that means everything that came before Dylan Gabriel, Joe Flacco, all those carefully managed reps, was a waste. And people in power don't like admitting they were wrong. So they stall. They wrap the decision in buzzwords like development and readiness. They say things like we're evaluating week to week, and we have confidence in all 3 quarterbacks. But here's what they don't say: that Shedeur has earned it, that he's ready, that he deserves a shot. And that silence? It's deafening. Because the film doesn't lie. The team's performance doesn't lie. The results are what they are, and right now, they're screaming for change. Even worse, the longer the Browns delay, the more obvious the dysfunction becomes. The games aren't just being lost on the scoreboard, they're being lost in the locker room, in the meeting rooms, in the subtle, invisible places where belief either builds or breaks. You can't keep asking a team to fight when you won't make the bold decisions. That's the kind of thing that turns effort into resentment. And it's exactly the kind of thing that RG3 has seen destroy seasons before they even get to week 10. This is about urgency, not panic. Urgency. There's a difference. And RG3 made that difference clear. He's not saying throw the whole playbook out. He's not saying Shedeur is a guaranteed franchise savior. He's saying look around. Feel the energy. See what's happening on the field. And do something before this spiral becomes permanent. Because if they wait too long, if they throw Shedeur in only after the playoffs are mathematically out of reach, it's too late. The damage is already done. And instead of building confidence, you're throwing a rookie into a storm of negativity, asking him to fix something that should have been addressed weeks ago. Timing matters. It always does. And right now, the Browns are running out of it. You've got a player who's shown, even in limited reps, that he gets it, that he wants it, that he's willing to take the pressure and own the moment. And instead of embracing that, you're keeping him behind a depth chart that's been ineffective and uninspiring. That's not strategy. That's fear. And fear kills teams faster than injuries or interceptions ever will. So where does this go from here? If the Browns continue to lose, RG3's comments won't fade. They'll get louder. If the offense continues to sputter, fans won't be patient. They'll be livid. And if the team finally caves and starts Shedeur after weeks of avoiding it, the narrative shifts completely. It won't be a fresh start. It'll be an indictment of everyone who held him back. RG3 laid the blueprint. He drew the line in the sand. Start Shedeur now, or risk losing not just the season, but the trust of everyone watching. And let's be honest, this isn't the first time Cleveland's been here. The quarterback chaos, the indecision, the misplaced confidence in stopgap solutions. It's become part of the team's identity. And it's exhausting. But Shedeur could change that. He's not just another guy with a cannon arm and a highlight reel. He's a leader. He brings fire. He brings belief. He brings hope. The one thing this team hasn't had under center in a long time. And that's the part RG3 understood better than anyone. That quarterback isn't just a position. It's a culture setter. It's a tone setter. It's the heartbeat of the entire organization. So if you've got a player on your roster who can give your team a heartbeat again, you start him. Period. Not because it's a perfect situation. Not because he's guaranteed to succeed. But because the alternative, sticking with what's already failing, isn't just bad. It's destructive. This is the crossroads. This is the moment where the Browns decide whether they want to keep repeating history or finally do something bold enough to change it. And if RG3 has anything to say about it, the answer is simple. Start Shedeur Sanders. And don't wait until it's too late. Because once the wheels fall off, and they will if things stay the same, there won't be any room left for what-ifs. Only, why didn't you? What started as a bold take from RG3 is morphing into a full-on reckoning. This isn't just a media moment anymore. It's a movement, a groundswell, a line in the sand between people who are tired of excuses and an organization still clutching to a failed formula. Every missed third down, every overthrown ball, every check down short of the sticks. It all adds fuel to the fire. The fan base can feel it. The locker room can feel it. And with each passing week, the question only grows louder. What are they waiting for? It's not just about Shedeur Sanders' talent anymore. This has become a test of leadership, accountability, vision. And right now, Cleveland's vision looks foggy at best. Let's be real. Shedeur isn't some mystery prospect. He's not a developmental quarterback you stash for a rainy day. His reputation precedes him. His poise under pressure has been seen on national stages. His command, his energy, his connection with teammates, it's all there. And it's visible. You don't need all 22 footage to see it. But instead of leaning into that, the Browns are acting like they've got time. Like they can ride this out. Like they can keep putting the same quarterbacks out there, hoping the results change. They won't. Because this isn't about schemes or systems anymore. It's about belief. This team doesn't have it. And you can feel that every single time they take the field. What RG3 did was crack open the one truth this front office refuses to say out loud. They're scared. They're scared of being wrong. Scared of admitting their guy isn't the guy. Scared of the optics of benching a veteran for a rookie with a last name as headline ready as Sanders. But that fear? That's what's killing them. Cleveland is playing not to lose. Playing to protect draft investments. Playing to preserve reputations. But guess what? Reputations don't win games. Safe decisions don't bring momentum. Caution doesn't shift culture. Leadership does. And that's what Shedeur has in spades. This is bigger than playbooks. It's about the emotional thermostat of a franchise that's flatlining. And Shedeur, raw as he may be, is the one guy on that roster who looks like he actually wants the pressure. He's not ducking the spotlight. He's waiting for it. But the Browns can't seem to hand it to him. RG3, on the other hand, grabbed the mic and said what everyone else was dancing around. He's been in those locker rooms. He knows how fast belief dies when the wrong guy keeps getting the ball. He's lived through that tension, the disconnect between what the team needs and what the front office is willing to admit. And that's why his words hit so hard. He wasn't being dramatic for clicks. He was being real. He was calling out the dysfunction before it cements itself again. Because let's not forget, Cleveland's been here before. The names change. The jerseys change. But the story? It stays the same. Quarterback carousel. Coaching questions. Sudden regression. Another year of what if. But this time, they have a chance to stop it. Right now. Start Shedeur Sanders, not because it's trendy, not because of the media circus, but because he's earned it. Because he brings something the other quarterbacks don't. Not just upside. Presence. And presence can't be coached. It's either there or it isn't. Shedeur walks like a leader, talks like a leader, prepares like one. Teammates respond to that. Coaches feel it in meetings. It's that invisible force, the thing great quarterbacks have. You either inspire confidence or you don't. And with Shedeur, that spark is already obvious. So what's the actual risk here? That he struggles? That he throws some picks? That he proves to be a rookie? That's fine. That's part of growth. That's part of the process. But the longer Cleveland delays that growth, the longer they stay stuck in neutral, wasting reps, wasting belief, wasting time. And here's the kicker. They already know this. They see it in practice. They feel it in meetings. They hear the buzz in the building. But they're choosing silence. They're choosing politics. They're choosing comfort. Meanwhile, RG3 is choosing truth. And the truth is that this locker room is waiting for a sign. The fans are waiting for a shift. And this front office is dragging its feet while the clock runs out on a season that still, barely, has life. But that life won't last. You can't keep asking your defense to carry everything. You can't keep expecting your veterans to find some second wind that doesn't exist. You can't keep hoping the spark comes from anywhere other than the one guy on your roster who actually looks like he wants to lead this team out of the dark. So yes, RG3 made headlines. Yes, he ruffled feathers. But you know what else he did? He spoke for every Browns fan tired of watching this team settle. He spoke for every player looking around the locker room, wondering when the obvious decision will finally get made. And he spoke for Shedeur Sanders, who's done everything right, everything asked, and still hasn't gotten the nod. But it's coming. It has to come. Because this status quo, this quarterback by committee indecision, it's not just unsustainable, it's a road to nowhere. Eventually, the Browns will make the switch. It's inevitable. The pressure is too loud. The results are too flat. The narrative is too far gone. They'll have no choice but to hand the keys to Shedeur. But if they wait too long, that handoff will be too little, too late. The smart play? The brave play? The only play? Do it now. Not in garbage time. Not in week 12. Not when everything else has already collapsed. Do it while there's still something to fight for. Do it while the team still might respond. Do it while the fans are still watching. Because Shedeur Sanders isn't just the best option. They've run out of other ones. So what's it going to be, Cleveland? Are you going to wait until the season writes you out of relevance again? Or are you finally going to act like a team that sees what's in front of them and isn't too proud to admit it? The clock is ticking. The noise is getting louder. The excuses are wearing thin. And RG3 already gave you the headline. Start. Shedeur Sanders. Now, let us know where you stand. Is Shedeur the spark Cleveland needs? Or is the front office justified in waiting it out? Drop your take in the comments. And if you're here for more no-filter breakdowns, drama-filled storylines, and sports chaos that speaks the real, hit that subscribe button. This conversation? Far from over.